الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه ومن تبع هداه. So in the first session of level 4 we spoke about Hamzatul Wasl, right? And 2 weeks ago we spoke about Al-Waqf wal-Ibtida'. Of course, whenever we speak about these things, we are not speaking in depth about each and every item that we have in this course description. Similarly, today, إلتقاء الساكنين, the meeting of two sukoons. This is the title of the lesson today. We are not going to speak about it in all the details. Right? You can read more about it if you reach that level where you feel that you mastered all the rules. You can read the fine prints. إلتقاء الساكنين is very similar to Hamzat al-Wasl, as you will see, inshallah. And the definition of Hamzat al-Wasl, if you remember, is that the words that start with the sukoon are using a help to get started. Right? The Arabs, they didn't use to start a word with a sukoon. So they used to use this Hamzat al-Wasl to be able to start the word. And of course, Hamzat al-Wasl will have fatha, a kasra, or a dhamma. It will not have a sukoon, otherwise it will be useless. Right? Of course, on the other hand, we have Hamzat al-Qata', which is the actual Hamza. If you remember, I think 2 or 3 weeks ago, we gave the example of, we wrote it on the board, where we have two Hamza coming one after another, two actual Hamza coming one after another. And in one qira'ah or one wajh, we said we make a mad lazim, we say dhakarain, for example. And one of you gave the example of al-ana, right, Brother Hanif? And also Allah. There are 3 examples in the Quran where either you make the Hamza with mad muttasil, you make it very long, like you say Allahu, right, or dhakaraini, or al-ana. This is as long as the word walad dalin. It's mad lazim, 6 haraka, right? Or the other option is to make it lighter, or to make it easier. They call it takhfif. The second Hamza will be made easier. That means it's not going to become a full Hamza. And this reminded me of sometimes people when they read, they tend to make takhfif of a Hamza where there is no takhfif, right? Which means that they are not pronouncing the Hamza fully. But when you remind them, then they will make it properly, right? We have seen it when we recite sometimes that I correct people by saying, pronounce the Hamza properly. So the way to make it easier, and this is one way of reading it, is to make, as I said, the second Hamza lighter. So it's not a full Hamza. So it's basically, instead of giving 100% Hamza, you're giving like a 50% Hamza. So instead of saying if I say both Hamzat, I would say right? You hear the sound But if I make the second Hamza lighter, or I don't give it 100%, I would say So the first one is normal, the second one is not So it's not as sharp. So I would say الذكرين, or Allahu, or الآن. You see the difference? This is something I didn't mention probably, or I didn't mention fully last time. Now going back to إلتقاء الساكنين. إلتقاء الساكنين, it is when two sukoons meet. Two sukoons meet, right? What is the big deal of two sukoons meeting? It is a big deal in the Arabic language. It may not be a big deal in other languages, right? It may not be a big deal in other languages, but in the Arabic language, the Arabs had a problem when there are two sukoons coming together. Of course, there are two different cases. The first case is when the sukoons are, of course, two possibilities. Either the two sukoons are in the same word, or they are in two separate words, two different words, which means that the first one is at the end of the first word, and the second one is at the beginning of the second word. Right? It makes sense. So they are meeting, right? Because the two words are meeting. So the first case is when we have them in the same word. So when we have them in the same word, we have two possibilities. And when I was sleeping, I was thinking about some examples. Sometimes when I sleep, I can't sleep because I'm thinking about some examples. The first example is the word, and I'm sure you will remember these words. They are very popular in the Quran, they are mentioned very often in the Quran. The word khair, I believe that's the word I was thinking about, or the word shay, right? And these kind of words. So we did pronounce two sukoons. So when I say khair, we have a sukoon on the ya and a sukoon on the ra, right? And I was able to pronounce them. So the Arabs didn't have a problem with this. And when we look at the examples in this particular possibility, you will find two possibilities within this option. It's either going to be harful mad, the first sukoon is going to be harful mad, or harful lin, like the word khair. Khair is, the ya is harful lin, right? The word, let's say, Quraysh is also, we have harful lin there in the middle. So the first possibility, when they are meeting within the same word, is to have the first one as harful mad or harful lin. All right, harful mad or harful lin. What is the second possibility? Can you think of the second possibility, Brother Hanif? All right, Jazakallah khair. Not necessarily a qalqala. It just happened that in some words they have qalqala. But in the word al-fajr, we have a jim with the sukoon and then the ra with the sukoon. What else is interesting about this example? In this example, it only happens when we stop. Right? I mean, similarly, the word khair and shay when we stop. So when we stop, we have two sukoons meeting each other. But if we don't stop, then wal fajri, we don't have two sukoons, so we don't have the problem. So when we stop, we have the word, the letter jim with the sukoon, and after it a ra with presented sukoon or a non-original sukoon. The sukoon that is put there because we stopped. And we have the word al-qadr in Surah Al-Qadr, the word al-asr, if we stop on the word al-asr. And there are many other words. So usually this happens either because we are stopping, that means the letter before last has a sukoon, and we stop on the last letter, and we put a sukoon there, so we have two sukoons meeting each other. Or we have a possibility where we don't stop, and we still have two sukoons meeting each other, where the first one is harful mad or harful lin. Right? In any case, these two possibilities, or these two cases, where the two sukoons are within one word, it is allowed. Right? It is allowed. We don't have to do anything special. So that's the first case. However, the second case, where the two sukoons are in two different words, two separate words, then we will have to do something different. We will have to fix the situation. And in this case, where we have two sukoons meeting each other in two separate words, we will have to change the first sukoon to something other than a sukoon. To something other than a sukoon, right? So, the first case, I'm going back to the first case, we don't have to do anything, right? So we just read it as it is. It is the second case that we need to know what to do, right? So in the second case, where the two sukoons are in two separate words, we have two possibilities. Again, we have two possibilities. The first possibility is that the last letter of the first word, where the sukoon is, could be harful mad. Not harful lin, but harful mad. Right? And this happened quite a bit in the Quran. It happens quite a bit. An example of that, I'm going to write down the example now because you need to see it. As I said, in the first case where they are in one word, we don't really have to, we don't even have to remember it, right? But in the second case, I will write down the first possibility. Let's say, Assalamu alaikum. I was thinking about you. So the first option, or the first possibility, is when we have the first sukoon here. Where is the next sukoon? Now you already know that there are two sukoons meeting each other, so where is the second sukoon? Yes, Brother Slim. The sin. The lam. Even though you are silent, Brother Faraz, even though we are in your office, it's just ironic. In the scene. Yeah, because there is shadda. All right. Do you agree with him, or maybe not?
We can say Hamzatul Wasl also.
We can say Hamzatul Wasl. All right. Who agrees with Brother Hanif or Brother Slim?
How to interpret it?
It depends how we look at it. All right. Any other opinion? Yes, Brother.
The lamb.
The lamb. All right. We have a third opinion. اختلف العلماء. The scholars have differed. Any other opinion? Can we have a fourth opinion? Or anyone siding with Brother Mustafa or Brother Slim?
It's lamb qamariya.
Okay, for now we want to either side with one opinion or a new opinion. And then we'll talk about the opinions. You want to change your mind? All right. All right. Yes, Brother Yahya.
From the alif.
From the alif? Mm-hmm. You mean the hamza?
Yeah.
The hamza. So you are siding with Brother Hanif. Huh? Yeah, Brother Hanif. All right. You have two people against one and one. So in this example here, the word sama has hamzatul wasl, right? Alif lam in any word, in any noun, will be hamzatul wasl. The lam, as Brother Slim just mentioned, is lam shamsiyya, which means that it is not pronounced. So I don't say al-sama. I don't say al-sama. I say as-sama. If I start from the word as-sama, then I say as. So I'm pronouncing the hamzatul wasl and then the sin. I'm saying as-sama. So remember that if I don't start from the word sama, if I start from the word before it, then I don't need hamzatul wasl anymore. Right? So if I start from the word sama, I don't read the lam. If I start before the word sama, I don't need Hamzat al-Wasl. So Hamzat al-Wasl is gone, the lam is gone. So the sukoon is here. The sukoon is here. Right? And the correct answer with the brother Slim who just came. MashaAllah.
I was lost.
You were lost.
Yeah, I never thought that we can make it in this way.
No, I thought about you, and I was going to send somebody to look for you, but I thought you live here, so you know the place better than anyone else.
I was at home, so.
Allah make it easy. Yeah, sorry about that. All right, so now we know where the sukoons are, right? We know where the sukoons are. If I start asking you how to read this, I don't think anybody will make a mistake in reading this, right? So we read it fis sama, but we don't usually think about it. When we say fis sama, everybody knows how to read it, but we don't usually think about it. We just say it, fis sama. Nobody has a problem with it. But what did we actually do when we said fis sama? If I say fis sama, that means I'm not reading the ya. I'm not reading the ya. Because if I had read the ya, I would have said fi sama. It's much heavier to read. Much heavier. And this is the reason why they are modifying the first sukoon. So we either modify it by, like in this case, if it is harful mad, we modify it. When I say modify it, I mean modify the first sukoon by dropping harful mad. We will have to drop harful mad. That means we don't read it. How many letters have we dropped so far? We dropped 3 letters. Right? So we dropped 3 letters. We dropped the Hamzat al-Wasl, we dropped the lam, and we are dropping the ya too. So we say fis sama. Fis sama. So every time we talk about what is the common issue here, I don't think there is a problem with people reading this or these kind of examples. Everyone seems to know how to read them. Fis sama. So this is the first possibility. The possibility where the first sukoon happened to be on harful mad. And of course there are many other examples. We are not going to write many examples now, but this is the main idea, is that the solution for this case, when we have harful mad in the first sukoon, is to drop that harful mad. All right? If I may mention something more advanced in this particular case, something more advanced, and something that we don't usually think about too much, even if we are reading it, because this is something more visual than anything else. You have to look at the Quran. In the Quran, you will find that, and we mentioned this before, that sometimes a word is written in one manner, in one way, and sometimes it's written in a different way. Like the word we mentioned, the word rahmah, right? The word rahmah. Sometimes it's mentioned, it's written with a round ta marbuta, and sometimes it's mentioned with ta maftuha, which is an open ta, right? And unless you look at it in the mushaf, or you memorize how it is written, you will not know, right? I mean, most people will not know how is it written, especially if you don't memorize that particular ayah, or you don't remember how it is written. So depending on how it is written, you won't know how to pronounce it if you stop on it. Especially, let's say, if you stop on a round ta, then it will change into a ha, right? You would say rahmah. And if you stop on an open ta, you would say rahmat. So it makes a difference in reading to know how it is written. Similarly, in these kind of situations, you will have to know how it is written, because if you do stop on, let's say, if I happen to stop on this fee, even though technically I'm not supposed to stop on the word fee, but let's say I just run out of breath and I just manage to finish this word and stop, then I will have to know how to say it. How do we say it if we stop here? We say it with fi, with the two haraka, because it's harf al-mad. Right? Not that we're going to stop there, but in case we stop, emergency stop, then this is what we do. There are some words, a few words in the Quran that are written without this ya, or without harf al-mad. Like these kind of words are usually written with harf al-mad at the end, but in some cases they are not written with harf al-mad. Examples like ayyuha. Sometimes it's written like this. Of course, it makes a difference if you stop on it. Right? It makes a difference if you stop on it. If I put here the word al-Malik, for example, what do we have here? We have إلتقاء الساكنين here, right? Where is the first sukoon? We have here harf al-mad. And where is the second sukoon? Who is talking? Yes, brother. The lam. Are you sure? I didn't put sukoon on it. The meme. All right. You agree with him? So I did manage to confuse him. Yeah, it is the lam, even though I didn't write down the sukoon. Don't change your mind under pressure. So we have a sukoon on the harf al-mad, the alif, and we have a sukoon on the lam. So instead of saying ayyuha, I say ayyuhal, ayyuhal. But if I stop on the word ayyuha, then I say ayyuha with the mad. Right? Yes, brother.
So even if it's written without the hamzat al-mad, we still, because there's usually an alif that's hidden, right? Like,
no, if it's written like this, then you stop ayyuh. No, he's talking about this one. You're talking about this one. Yeah.
But you are talking about the first.
Yeah. His question is, if we stop on this one, what do we do? So, of course, if the first one, if you stop, you make a mad. Mad tabi'i, two haraka. Ayyuha. Here, if you stop, you say ayyuh. All right? What is the second possibility? The second possibility, obviously, is that the first sukoon will happen on a letter other than harf al-mad. Other than harf al-mad. There are, of course, plenty of examples, and I will come back to this. I will come back and we'll try to see what are the issues. What do people have problems with when it comes to either this possibility, this option, or the second one. The second one being the case where the first sukoon is not going to be harf al-mad. Something that is mentioned quite a bit in the Quran is min Allah. The word min Allah. Right? Min Allah. Usually it is min. Right? When you read the or when you study the Arabic language, they would say min fulan, from this person. And so on. I mean, there are many other examples. The only reason we said min Allah is because the sukoon of the letter noon is meeting with the sukoon of Allah. Where is the sukoon? Where is the sukoon in the word Allah? In Alam? The second lam? Yes, brother. Oh, you didn't say anything? Any other opinions? Or no opinions? Do you agree with him? You don't agree with him? Who agrees with brother Hanif? 1, 2. All right. Who disagrees with brother Hanif? Who doesn't know? All right. It is the second lam. It is similar to the word sama, as we have seen a moment ago. So the word Allah, the sukoon that we are talking about, is a sukoon found inside the shadda in the second lam. Because the first lam is going to be dropped like we did for the word the sama. We don't say, of course in this case, a person cannot tell if we are pronouncing the first lam or the second lam because it's a lam. So you may not necessarily know what we are doing. In the word as-sama, it's obvious that we didn't pronounce the lam. Because if we did, we would have heard it. We would have heard al-sama. But in the word Allah, there is a lam already, right? So a person, if I ask somebody, did we pronounce the first lam or the second lam? May not know. Maybe I pronounced the first lam. Right? Nobody will know. But really, the lam, the first lam, is being dropped as we dropped it in the word as-sama. So when we say as-sama or we say Allah, in both cases we are dropping the lam because it's called a lam shamsiyya in this case, and it is dropped. The hamzatul wasl, as we said for the word sama, in the word Allah, is pronounced if we start from the word Allah, but it is dropped if we start from the word min. So the word min has a sukoon at the end, and this sukoon is meeting the sukoon of the word Allah in the second lam of Allah. So what do we do here? In the case of harful mad, in the first option or the first possibility, we dropped harful mad to resolve this issue. In this case, in the second example here, in the second case, we will have to change the sukoon to something different. Change the sukoon to something different, to something other than a sukoon. In this case, we are changing it to a fatha. Min Allah. Like in Surah Al-Ma'arij, Min Allahi dhil Ma'arij. Min Allah. If you go home and look at the surah, how it is written in the Mus'haf, you will find that they put, what did they put on the noon? What haraka did they put? So they put a fatha or they left it?
They left it.
They left it? In your Mus'haf it has a fatha. In Mus'haf al-Madina, it will have a fatha.
It should.
It should. In other masahif, it could be other masahif that may or may not put a fatha, right? I would say probably in a newspaper or in a book, some other topic, they may put a sukoon, and they expect you to know how to read it. If they do put any harakat, because most of the time they are not going to put any harakat, but if they do put a harakat, they may put a sukoon, because that's the correct haraka on it, and they expect you, or that's the original haraka on it, and they expect you to know how to read it. But they expect you to know how to do, what to do. So here, min Allah, min Allah. All right, there are two things here, two things. The first thing is that in the masahif, usually, in these kind of cases, they would write the haraka, which means that nobody will have a problem with it. On the contrary, people will not even notice that there was an issue in the first place. All right? The issue has been resolved for you. It's the haraka has been changed from a sukoon to a fatha or a kasra or a dhamma, and it has been dealt with. You just have to read it. Right? You just have to read it. That's why we don't expect people to make mistakes in the harakat. Right? Whether you memorize the surah or you're reading it from the mushaf, I expect you not to make mistakes in terms of harakat. Whatever is there, you read it. Right? Whatever harakah is there, you just read it as it is. So in most of these cases, if not all of them, it is already resolved and written in the mushaf. So people will not have an issue with it. It's not going to be like a common problem. On the contrary, people will not have a problem with it. They will not even know there was a problem in the first place. And we don't have to know the rule to do this. I'm talking about this case, the second case, right? The second case. The first case, there was nothing they could have done, right? There's not much they can do. They will expect you to drop that harf al-mad, right? In most cases, maybe not all of them, but in most cases, they will expect you to know what to do. Or maybe they will omit the sukoon on the harf al-mad. That's one thing. Any questions before? We're almost done with this. I think it took maybe a little bit more time than I expected.
So it's always a fatha. You always change the sukoon to the fatha.
No, that's the good question. Yeah, that's a good question, because this is the issue with these things, especially إلتقاء الساكنين, the meeting of the two sukoons. The haraka, the sukoon, is going to be changed to something other than the sukoon. What is it going to be changed to? Depends on many things. Right? And if you want, I can send you some examples and some documents about this topic if you want to read further. But at the end of the day, since it is already written in the Quran, we should only, or a person should only concentrate on the things that are not written. The things that are not written, and you are expected to know how to read it. Right? Like the example in Surah Al-Baqarah, you'll find it in the second page of Surah Al-Baqarah. You'll find many of these examples at the end of the second page. What's that example I was looking for? At the end of the page. Here we go. اشتروا right? اشتروا. So this word, where's my paper? Okay, I'm going to write it down here. So here, اشتروا, it was supposed to be اشتروا, right? It was supposed to be اشتروا. So this sukoon on the waw. What is the waw? What is the role of the waw here? Is it harf al-lin? Do you agree with him? Yeah, but yeah, I mean it is waw of jam, but is it harf al-lin or not? It shouldn't be, or it should be. It is. So how many? What is the definition of harf al-lin? Sukun. On waw or ya?
And then maybe the fatha before it.
Yes, I think we are forgetting now the early lessons. So we have waw with sukun and a fatha before it. So it is harf al-lin. And we said here in the word sama, the example, the case where we have two sukuns meeting in two different words, if the first sukun happened to be on harf al-mad, what did we say? You drop it. Harf al-mad only. But here it's not harf al-mad, it's harf al-lin. So here we don't drop it. So we are changing this sukun, which is meeting the second sukun. Where is the second sukun? On the da. Now we got used to it. So the second sukun is on the da. So how are we changing this? We are changing the sukun on the waw here to a dhamma. Ishtara wu. Yes. أصلها اشتريوا. I don't think, Brother Ahmed, is it?
الأصل
اشتريوا.
ممكن هذاك هو اللي يفسر الضمة. يعني الحرف الياء فيه ضمة في الأصل.
All right. So you are saying that this is how we know what to put on the waw? I haven't read it anywhere myself. You could try to see if the theory holds, because there are many examples.
Because it is strange. We don't see any dhamma in the word, the whole word.
Yeah. But what they said here, they said they put a dhamma because this is what is more consistent with the waw. Right? Like we have seen in huruf al-mad. What did we see in huruf al-mad? We saw that waw is preceded by dhamma. The ya is preceded by kasra. The alif is preceded by fatha. This is the natural follow-up. Right? What follow a fatha will be alif, like in terms of mad. What follows a waw or a dhamma will be a waw. This is like a natural flow. Right? What follows a ya, what follows a kasra is a ya. So here they said it's natural to put a dhamma because the dhamma goes on the waw. And also when you look at the hamza, the rules of a hamza, in terms of where does the hamza sit, the hamza in terms of writing, where do you put the hamza? Do you put it on an alif? Because it sits sometimes on an alif, sometimes it sits on the waw, sometimes it sits on the ya, and sometimes on the ground when it's tired. So one of the rules probably is that it depends on the haraka. Let's say the word yawma idhin, it sits on the ya, right? Quick example. So here they said the waw is more consistent with the waw, so we put a dhamma. And again, in this case, if you look at the last page or the end of the page, number 2 of Surah Al-Baqarah, you will find that they already wrote the dhamma. It's there, right? It's there. So the bottom line in terms of what do we put in replacing the sukun in these kind of cases, they said that this is taken from how the Arabs pronounced these things. So there is no one formula that will take care of everything, right? There are like many cases, and sometimes it's a dhamma, sometimes it's not, and these kind of things.
Maybe it flows with the reading. If min Allah we say bini Allah.
It does.
Very high.
It does, except that sometimes you will find it, and those of you who were with us when we listened a couple of years ago to some different qira'at, you will find in some qira'at it's different. Like in Hafs, we tend to put more kasras when this happens. In this qira'ah, in Hafs, we tend to put more kasras than anything else. In other qira'at, they tend to put more fathas to solve this issue. Right?
But not in min Allah.
Not in min Allah. I mean, I'm talking about one example. I'm talking in general, how they resolve this. All right? Any questions? I feel I'm like forgetting something. Every time I think something is simple, it would take me more time to explain it. But I'm trying to explain it in like a simple terms, and I will tell you what do you need to remember. Okay, now I remembered what I need to tell you to remember. On one hand, there are a lot of things that you don't need to remember. Like simple as that. You may go and read about this and how and why they put a fatha and why they put a dhamma and stuff. But at the end of the day, is it going to make your reading better? It's not going to make any difference because this is already written in the Mus'haf. The few things that are not written, those are the things that you need to take care of. The things that are, it's impossible for them to, or there's no easy way to write them down, right? Like, for example, they are not going to drop this because maybe you decide to stop there, so you have to read it, right? So they are not going to erase it. So here you will have to know what to do. You'll have to know that you're going to drop that. Sometimes they help you out by putting a 0 on it, right? To tell you that this is dropped if you stop, or this is dropped if you continue, or whatever. But some other times, and I will give an example now of the famous example in Surah Al-Ikhlas. This is probably more famous than anything else that is similar to this. And we'll see why it is that way. So and it still happens until today where a person would join the first ayah with the second one, Surah Al-Ikhlas, قُلْ هُوَ اللَّهُ أَحَدٌ Allahu Samad, and some people will be surprised, like, what is that? Right? They will be surprised in that they think that the reciter made a mistake or read it wrong or read it weird, where he would say قُلْ هُوَ اللَّهُ أَحَدٌ اللَّهُ الصَّمَدُ. Right? So this is one of those cases where you will have to know what to do. And I know in some masahif they would put a kasra. I believe in some masahif somewhere. Noon with a kasra, yeah. You have it in your masahif, Brother Hanif? All right. Yeah, so in some masahif, which is a good thing to, of course you have to know what that noon with a kasra means, right? Some people may not know. I mean, they see it in the mushaf, but they may not know what it means, right? So I'm sure, of course, Brother Hanif knows what it means. But you have to know, usually at the back they will explain, all these things that they use in the mushaf. So we have Allahu, sorry, I meant to write Ahad. I'm just going to write it here. All right, so we have here, this is the end of the ayah, قُلْ هُوَ اللَّهُ أَحَدٌ. And this is the beginning of the second ayah, right? We all know it. We all memorize it, right? So when you look at it, you would think that we don't have a problem here. We don't even have two sukoons meeting, right? So at the first glance, I mean, people will not know that we have a problem here of two sukoons meeting. What two sukoons are we talking about? Ahadun. Where about? Like where exactly? Which noon? The noon of Tanween. The noon written in Brother Hanif's Mus'haf. That noon? Or which one? Noon of the Tanween. Alright. The pronounced noon of the Tanween. The pronounced noon of the Tanween. And which one is the second one? The second lamb of Allah. The second lamb of Allah. So here we have Ahadun and we have Allah, right? So I could have written this one like this. This is how I am pronouncing this word. Ahadun. This is how it is pronounced. It's not written this way, but it's pronounced this way. So when I say Ahadun, we hear sukoon, right? Ahadun. And then this sukoon, if I continue on into the next ayah, then it will be meeting with the sukoon that's found in the second lam of the word Allah inside the shadda. So here we have two things. We have the sukoon inside the tanween and the sukoon inside the shadda meeting, like virtual sukoons. Right? These are virtual sukoons. So now, what do I need to do to fix this issue? I have to change this sukoon found in this pronounced noon, which is found inside the tanween. Right? So I'm changing this into, I think people usually, the common problem here is people have problem pronouncing it. If they didn't know this, when they try to do it for the first time, they have a lot of trouble pronouncing it. Unless you see it in front of you. If you see it written this way, then it will be very easy to pronounce. If you concentrate on what is written here. If you concentrate on what is written in this way, in this manner, then it's very easy to pronounce. The condition is that to read it as it is written here. Ahadunillah. Ahadunillah. What did we do here? We only changed the sukoon into a kasra. Ahaduni. Instead of saying ahadun, I said ahaduni. What else did we do if we are joining this?
Or you can make the idhar of tanween, originally like ahadun, we said ahadun.
The idhar of the noon, if you want. Yeah. Yeah, we could say idhar of the noon. Yeah, I mean, there was idhar before, right?
It's not followed by
yeah. That's true. It's idhar because it's not followed by any of the word of the letters of the idgham or the letter of iqlab or ikhfa.
It's not second anymore, so there is no second.
All right, I agree. Yeah, but that's not what I'm looking for. Yes, Brother Muhammad.
Did we make the lamb soft?
Yes, that's what I'm looking for, Brother Muhammad. So we made the lamb soft. Why did we make the lamb soft? Yes, Brother. Yes, because there's a kasra before it. So this is a big difference. So as we always say, when you stop and continue, it may change the rules of tajweed, depending on where you stop and where you continue from. In this case, if I had started from the second ayah, I would have said Allah, Allahu Samad. But because I started from the word ahaduni, I said ahaduni Allahu, ahaduni Allahu. Big difference, right? Big difference. Because I may read it like this. And if you are listening to somebody, let's say during Salah or wherever, he may say, قُلْ هُوَ اللَّهُ أَحَدٌ اللَّهُ الصَّمَدُ. Or he may first join the first two and then go back and read the second ayah. Right? He would say, قُلْ هُوَ اللَّهُ أَحَدٌ اللَّهُ الصَّمَدُ اللَّهُ الصَّمَدُ لَمْ يَلِدْ وَلَمْ يُولَدْ. But you might find it weird. But now he's in control of the tajweed. He's in control of the tajweed. He knows what to do if he connects the two words or if he reads them separately. Right? And this is what you want. You want to be in control by knowing the rules. Right? Knowing the rules. Any questions? Was it challenging, this إلتقاء الساكنين? I mean, taking more time, it doesn't mean, I think sometimes, it doesn't mean that it was challenging. It just, sometimes to simplify it, it may take more time. But once you understand it, it is simple to apply. This is the aim. Our aim is to know how to apply it with ease, without too much trouble, and without trying to remember a lot of things. Trying to remember a lot of things is a trouble. So the reason they put in some masahif, like Brother Hanif mentioned, they put a noon, a small noon with the kasra at the end of the ayah, is to let the reciter know that in case you continue, this is what you need to do, is to turn that noon, pronounced noon, into a kasra, into noon with a kasra. Question?
Is there another example in which the noon of the tanween changes to another haraka beside the kasra?
The noon of the tanween? I don't have any examples in mind, but I remember in Surah Al-Baqarah, this example happens a lot, especially when you are listening to other qira'at, and you'll see that sometimes we don't even change it. We don't even change the sukoon into something else, but in other qira'at they would change it. For example, let me give this example and then we'll let you comment or give the question. In Surah Al-Baqarah, second page, the beginning of the page, سواء عليهم أأنذرتهم أم لم تنذرهم لا يؤمنون. So in some other qira'at, I believe in Qalun and also in Warsh, سواء عليهم, سواء عليهم. Here we only have عليهم. أأنذرتهم. We don't even have, this is not, it probably has nothing to do with إلتقاء الساكنين, but I'm just saying that sometimes they would make changes where we don't in this qira'ah. But there are other examples where every time قل إن صلاتي ونسكي ومحياي ومماتي لله رب العالمين. Trying to remember this ayah, or it could be the ayah before it or after it. Maybe it's the wrong ayah. Anyway, Brother Slim, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, I thought it's a good example, but
it's not.
قل إن افتريته بس مفيش ساكنين. إن افتريته أصلا إن.
Yeah, I think the example that you reminded me of now is قُلِ اللَّهُمَّ. قُلِ اللَّهُمَّ. Right? It's similar to the word قُل, because the word is قُل. قُل, the lam has a sukoon. And then Allahumma. Allahumma is similar to the word Allah in terms of where the sukoon is. So the sukoon of the word qul was meeting the sukoon of the word Allahumma, which is the second lam, as it is the case for the word Allah. And this is found in Surah Al-Imran, very famous. So we say قُلِ اللَّهُمَّ, and I know for a fact that it is written with a kasra, so they would write it with a kasra. You don't have to guess or to know the rule to read it. So قُلِ اللَّهُمَّ. And I know for example, I have this example in mind now. It just came to mind. قُلِ ادْعُوا. قُلِ ادْعُوا. And I kind of recall some other qira'at where they say قُلُ ادْعُوا. And I found that both of them are easy to pronounce. قُلِ ادْعُوا, of course, I cannot judge this one because this is how most people read it today in this qira'at Hafs. قُلِ ادْعُوا. We find it easy because this is how we usually read it. But قُلُ ادْعُوا. قُلُ ادْعُوا, it makes also sense. Because if you start from the word id'u, it has like a dhamma at the end. Right? So it makes sense that you say قُلُ ادْعُوا. And you find these differences interesting, and that's why it's very beneficial and rewarding to listen to other qira'at, especially during Ramadan, where you basically compare. Right? And if you are listening to a qira'ah other than the one that you use, you are like comparing and see how they read it, and it's very rewarding. All right, I think we spent most of the time talking about this. I don't know if we'll have time to read. Maybe we'll dedicate the next session to reading only, because we have 3, and I'm sure that because of the short notice, you probably didn't have time to read the homework, which is Surah Al-Qiyamah, ayah number 30, Surah Al-Humazah, ayah 1 to 2, and Surah Al-Ikhlas, 1 to 2. And here the idea is to join. If there is 2 ayat, then to join them. Wherever there is 2 ayat, to join them. Surah Al-Qiyamah, I think it's just a single ayah. We're going to maybe recite it next week. And next week is going to be the 23rd. I think it's still okay to come here, Brother Faraz? All right, 23rd is going to be here. And then the next session will be probably in January, I guess. Then the following week, probably.
Will the front door still be open on the 23rd?
He has the key.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he has the key. Even if it's a holiday, I guess. It's the eve of the holiday, basically. After that, because I was thinking to do a presentation, and I know we don't have the option here. So once we get the room, like at the regular room, we'll do the presentation there. There was something interesting that I wanted to talk about, especially when we come to Makharij al-Huruf. So it's good that we spend more time here reading next week, and then if the following week we have a room, we'll do the presentation then. If not, then we'll do it the week after, inshallah. All right. I had difficulty uploading some of the videos due to some weird things in the Chrome browser. For whatever reason, I'm not sure what it is. I finally uploaded the 2 sessions that we did in level 4, and also uploaded the test. The test, I will have to send you the link because it's not public, so I'll send you the link for the test. And for the other one, it's like a playing list or a playlist that you can go there anytime and look at the videos. What else? Any questions before we close, and we'll read inshallah next week. If you have time, please read listen to different reciters and listen to some recordings where they join the two ayat, if there is such thing, or if you have a chance. Any questions? Was it complicated, especially for those who are new to this, or was it simple enough? All right. The key is, as we said, we always say to listen to the recording, the reference. And most of the time in the reference, they're going to be stopping at the ayat, right? They're going to be stopping at the ayat. So if you want to do something fancy, you most likely know how to do it, right? If you want to join the ayat, then you will have to. And I've seen people leading salat in big masajid, where they try to join two ayat like this, لَقُلْ هُوَ اللَّهُ أَحَدٌ اللَّهُ الصَّمَدُ, and they didn't know how to do it. They just like messed it up, right? It happens. If you do something that you don't know how to do, or you're doing it for the first time, or trying to save time by joining the ayat, you will have to know how to do it. Otherwise, just keep it simple, right? Keep it simple. Like in the in Arabic classes, they say if you want to avoid being caught not knowing how to finish the sentence, just stop. If you stop, you put a sukoon, so you don't have to know, is it fatha, kasra, or dhamma, right? This stopping is the safest. So you'll find, even on TV, they will find people who like stop. Every sentence they stop, right? Because otherwise people will know that he doesn't know how to finish the sentence, right? Okay, we'll conclude inshallah. Subhanakallah wa hamdik. Ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilaik. Jazakumullah khair.